Welcome to the Rebel Love Show. We are a once-a-week broadcast from Manchester, New Hampshire, where we are pro-pot, pro-gun, and pro-coffee. You can find all of our content on rebelloveshow.com, on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Facebook, JRev Radio, and Voluntary Virtues. I am Rob Mathias.
I am Joel Valenzuela.
And I'm Shire Dude.
And today we have a guest in studio. We got none other than Mr. Mattheus von Guttenberg.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
I think he's a repeat offender. Look at him.
Yeah, I know. Second time on the show.
Isn't that a felony or something?
It should be.
Not yet.
So we haven't been on in a while, so I apologize for that. I've been traveling. Joel's been traveling, and we've been busy. So, but we're back. We're back on the air, so that's always a good thing to do. We have some announcements to cover first.
Yeah.
Keenevention. All of us seen. Well, three of us here. Sorry, Mathias. They didn't. You should start your own panel there.
Wait, maybe.
I'll be a one-man panel.
You should be. Yeah.
The German-Brazilian panel.
Yeah, a panel of one.
The Nazi escapee panel.
Party of zero.
Is your Porkfest talk on YouTube? Have you seen it?
Not yet. There was a split with some of the people at the Alt Expo where Jack had half the video and I think Emberly had the other half of the video, and they got into a fight, and she moved out of state and she hasn't been uploading stuff, so my footage is kind of caught and captured with Emberly, and it hasn't actually seen the light of day yet.
Yeah.
I wish you had told me that you wanted me to record it. I would have recorded it for you.
I expected them to record it. I didn't expect Fiasco,
I know mine was recorded by them, but I have no contact from them whether or not it's up on
It's just
YouTube
like the
or
prophet
not.
says, never expect anyone to do anything.
That's true. Yeah, peace be upon them.
80-20.
Anywho, Keenevention, we're doing different panels. I will be on the direct action panel Sunday morning, and you guys are doing the new movers panel as of right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Minus Selfie the Outlaw, right?
Yeah, well.
I don't know. I'm also on the cop block panel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are doing the cop block panel.
Yes, with my dear friend Riaz.
Riaz.
We're going to take it to the next level.
Who else? There are two other guys on there, right? Do you know who they are?
No.
Centurion and
Oh God, from Keen.
Yeah.
Why did you say it like that, man?
Well,
Dude, it is Keenevention.
I just remember his involvement during the cop blocking scenario.
Oh, he was screaming at Will.
Yeah, he was screaming at
Will Kostrick,
he was screaming at Will Kostrick. You're not my dad. Don't tell me how to talk to
I
cops.
saw that.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was
my first physical understanding of Centurion.
Well,
to
be fair, he was being factually correct. Will is not indeed his father.
you can't
yeah,
argue
it's
with
true.
logic.
Well, I just saw the Keen cop blocking, like the fire and the blood for the first time.
Yeah, that was a little intense. That was intense. But yeah, the Keenevention. Go check it out. Go there. Come visit and see us there, I guess. Also, we're gonna be doing some. Hopefully, everyone here at this table shows up. But New Hampshire Independence Outreach. I'm gonna be doing some of that tomorrow. Hopefully, that goes over well. I want to do more of that. By the way, the whole Scottish independence vote is very. The fact that a Western civilization country can. Part of that country can vote for secession, and it's deemed legit that this area can actually have a vote on it. We're not talking about somewhere in the middle of Africa that no one knows the name of the country. I'm saying this is Scotland, which is part of the UK.
The name of the country was Sudan, by the way. Everyone knows that. Just hating, man.
At any rate, it gives me hope that someday that New Hampshire can declare independence from the tyranny of the U.S.
I'm excited because it's a wonderful opportunity for us free state activists to exercise self-restraint and not going full anarchist.
That's true. It's weird where anarchists and minarchists have the same goal, which is less tyranny, and it's anarchists can work with minarchists, and they have the same objective.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true with just about every issue out there almost. But this one is a rare case where you're not going to get anyone on board if you're just like, well, the state is violence, man. We're getting rid of the whole thing. But, well, first let's leave from the U.S. It's like, first New Hampshire needs to be its own country, so then it cannot be a country at all. It's like, yeah.
No, I agree. Anyone that does New Hampshire Independence Outreach as an anarchist should not advertise they're anarchists. They should advertise that they want New Hampshire to be an independent from the federal government. I wouldn't talk about, how I don't.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out also that the word independent doesn't necessarily mean to secede from the union. It can be a gradual step thing, as in more independence from...
not jury, but actual nullification of different federal laws.
Yeah,
sure.
independence can be on a scale, but secession is like a one-act
Well,
thing.
if you go to Foundation for New Hampshire Independence website, they do talk about actual secession and leaving the federal government. Like that's like on
Well, we're talking
part of their platform.
I believe in warming people up to the concept of the federal government is not representing our best interests here, and we should take steps to become independent from the federal government. Not necessarily, don't necessarily need to say to secede completely, but become more independent. Not necessarily say more independent, which leaves out secession, but just that general concept, and then the details get hashed out at a further date.
Well,
right.
Well, this is all just marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's why this is so
It's
important.
more than marketing. It's also more just building the culture. Like, the culture does not exist as of today for New Hampshire just to declare independence. But what I would love to see is hopefully state reps run on a secessionist platform. But also I would like to see like secessionists and independence people not have like what I would say events where they bring in other politicos and stuff like that, and not just like street activism, but actually like create some sort of events and stuff like that where like it's more legitimacy to it, and have debates and do press releases to like newspapers and radio shows and news stations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's important about putting thought in people's minds.
Yeah.
Because now
it's not there yet. There's no way this can happen.
A lot of people are just thinking about, they don't like the state of affairs. And then putting that thought in the head is just like the Fed bill that just recently passed the House. That could not have been a thing before Ron Paul just brought it to light. And the Fed, Fed, Reserve Fed, never shut up about it. And now, even though his campaign's gone, his movement marches on, and now that's his big legacy, is the audit the Fed bill.
Well, did that? No, I haven't been following that, which I should be. But I'll be honest, anything outside New Hampshire, I really don't follow anymore. Did that pass the House, or did that pass the House and the Senate?
It passed the House last I checked. I don't know.
Yeah, just the House. It hasn't passed the Senate yet.
Yeah, it probably won't.
It probably won't, but it's a great...
Oh, it's still a huge step. The fact that
Yeah.
it actually voted on and it passed is a huge thing.
Overwhelmingly passed.
Yeah, there was a
now,
lot of support for
whether
it.
or not it passes the Senate, there's also the veto. So that's the problem with trying to win via legislation, is there's always these hurdles from the people in power whenever you try to use the power to take away the power's power. It's a little bit...
Well,
it's,
it protects itself.
Yeah, it's
Well,
an uphill climb.
It's structured in such a way that it resists removing power once it's gained it.
Well, it's supposed to be in
The
place.
institution is built in such a way that once it gains power, it's very difficult to remove it. It's kind of like
Well, the Constitution was originally built in order to limit power, but in all honesty, it
No,
kind
I
of does
don't
the
agree.
opposite. It limits the removal of
No,
power.
it doesn't. I don't think that's actually true. I don't think the Constitution was ever built to limit state power. I think it was built to justify creating a central government where one didn't exist before.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
I
give
mean,
you,
if you
after
take
seeing
it-
history, I can't really...
If you-
historically, that happened, so whether or not it was supposed to be like that or not, the fact of the matter is that is what happened.
Yeah. Well, the people that wrote the Constitution and signed it were very different people than who signed the Declaration. Jefferson was out of the country at the time the Constitution was passed. It was a lot of Madison and Hamilton. The people that ended up writing the Constitution were kind of leftovers from the war financiers, relatives of British aristocracy, bankers, various types. So kind of mucky-mucks. They were not the same type of revolutionaries,
You think they
15 years
they
prior.
purposely had that when Jefferson was overseas?
Probably.
I don't know, maybe. All I know is, it's just a suspicious turn of events. The people that were originally there to amend the Articles of Confederation, and that was their purpose, that was what they were delegated for, and they come out a few months later with this brand new document to build
From a
new
secret
government.
meeting that no press was allowed.
Yeah,
at.
right, no
All right.
press was allowed
Well-
to be taken from it. It's just a strange turn of events.
Now, as far as it's important to note also the big step forward that even with the Constitution as opposed to just the Articles was, and for a long time, the United States, there were several instances of military action from state against another state. Again, all part of the same federal government, under the same federal government, but there was a few different instances where troops on either side were warring with the other states. Again, all part of the same United States. And so it could have possibly been, worse under the Articles. But it could have possibly broken off into small sovereign nations with their own little mini tyrannies. And anyone resisting the state around here knows very well that local government can be a way more tyrannical than the federal government.
Yeah, true. That's not the impression I got. I attended a speech by Andrew Napolitano where he talked about the Constitution, suppose it never existed, and the entire talk was essentially an enumeration of the list of virtues that would have been, existing without the Constitution. You have no Fed, you have no central bank, you have no nuclear arms, you have no World War I, World War II, you have none of these institutions that exist in 21st century United States of America that are allowed to exist because the central government built by the Constitution exists. If you had many different states, maybe they would fight, or maybe they would impose taxes or tariffs on each other, or maybe they wouldn't be perfect arms linked in brotherhood.
No.
But I think it's a poor substitute to just create a central government out of all of them to fix that.
Now, hindsight's 20/20, and it's easy to say, well, I know how history would have turned out for 300 years with this small change. Now, it could have turned out that one state got more powerful and just decided to start annexing other states, and then eventually there was like an American empire back in the 1800s instead of like now. It could have been something different. Again, we never know. We can't play with history. What we can say is this system is better than that system, and the article system is probably better than the Constitution system. That's something we can say. We can't necessarily say history would have been different.
Well, I don't know. I think some speculation's allowed. I mean,
It's allowed, of course.
If there were no civil war, we can speculate a little bit on what society would have looked like for the next 50 years. And, maybe Reconstruction wouldn't have existed. Maybe black civil rights would have come a lot sooner. Maybe various other key things would have changed. But something like the Constitution, having never been written, that's a pretty significant watershed moment in American, colonial American history.
What's always fascinating to me is the average person doesn't know the fact that the Constitution was fiercely debated before it was ratified.
Yeah.
There are colonies that didn't ratify it. But it's always assumed that was like the founding document. Everyone praised it, and that's how like we're kind of like it's held up higher than the Bible, and it's like that wasn't the case when it was signed. Like they had to add the Bill of Rights just to get it passed by a couple of
one
colonies.
thing that propaganda doesn't really reveal is that also the Civil War is extremely controversial in the North.
It's controversial everywhere.
Lincoln shut down hundreds of newspapers that dissented with his opinion.
Instituted the income tax.
They didn't just draft soldiers, these press gangs. They sent thugs out, catch some young guy, beat him over the head, drag him unconscious, put a uniform on and say, now you're fighting for us. War slavery, right? So while the South had work slavery, where slaves may or may not die during the course of their labors, the North instituted war slavery, where you beat someone over the head, force them to kill people, and probably die. So that's hardcore stuff.
Yeah, the state uses the euphemism conscription for that, right? That's the word for it.
Yeah, but they use
they always have different words for what it really is.
Yeah, I mean, for the viewers at home, for anyone just wondering about this, just look up press gangs. I mean, it's nasty stuff. And then with the First and Second World Wars, they were far from being like, oh, America together to save Europe from the Nazis or the Germans or whoever. There was hundreds of protesters all over the place. There were anti-war protesters like we just hear. Oh, in the Vietnam War there were these. They were there in World War II as well. They just got like beaten down and silenced a lot quicker.
Well, there was a moment. Was it after World War I? Where's that moment where they sent in troops to like actually take out vets that were protesting? That they weren't paid. Was that after World War I? You know what I'm talking about? I can't think of it.
I don't want to comment that and showcase my ignorance.
Benefits. Oh, I don't remember.
Anywho, let's move on to like stuff that's happened since we last recorded. Get off that
history
train.
lesson, right?
Let's get off the history lesson, which we did.
Start off with I gained
for like 15 minutes.
That's my bad.
We all kind of gained weight.
Especially Shire Dude. And Mathias didn't gain weight.
Yeah,
You need to
Mathias
start
doesn't
gaining
gain
Yeah,
weight.
You
you
need
found
to
them.
eat.
I lost weight. You guys found it.
I've been trying to feed Mateus when he's sleeping. It just he doesn't keep it down.
Oh, well, maybe someday. So there's a bunch of DUI checkpoints that we were doing, which were pretty intense for a couple of them. Though I think some of the cop blocking you can best do is what we did, where we walked around, going to like the bars and whatnot. Like Ann came with, and she was holding a sign. We were like, just seeing the reaction of people, like knowing what cop block is. Like that's a thing here. You go in Manchester, you go along the Elm through the bar scene and whatnot. They all know what cop block is and how they hate checkpoints. And these people were, shaking our hands, thanking us, warning them that don't go to the police. The police over there, avoid them.
Right.
That's not something that I would imagine back home that people would know what, cop block even is, well known that it's a good thing.
Well, I'd like to point out also that I went at Keene State College, the campus newspaper, the front page is about cop blocking, inspired by the Keeniacs.
Wow.
It's just making headways, and they made their own custom graphic for it. It's pretty cool stuff. Also, I'd like to point out the last DUI checkpoint.
Yeah, I missed the last one.
We debuted the first surveillance drone filming the checkpoint. Bum bum bum.
I want to see that in more activism.
Yeah.
Especially during the whole political scene, especially during the presidential elections. Like, I would love to see, imagine,
Drone footage of the.
Hillary Clinton coming up, and all of a sudden we got a drone flying behind her and whatnot. And
Yeah, they'd shoot it out. They'd snipe it out.
People
Yeah,
would
y'all would-
freak out, man.
that's why it'd be amazing. It'd be great YouTube.
It really would. It really would.
Liberty Theater.
Yeah, a lot of activism is street theater.
Now, we're working on encrypting the drone transmission so no one can tell where they came from, and working an autopilot into that. So hopefully that'll all be ready, so they can just send anonymous drones and no one knows where they came from. And so, who did that? Who did that? It's like, well, who knows?
So, anywho,
Fight the state with crypto.
For crypto.
when you were gone, me and Shire Dude over here, we went over and, not much really happened from it. It was more like a test run for me because I've never gone to a status meeting before with a camera. So it was interesting how they reacted to us.
You say status, but it was it was more intense than that.
We went into a military installation, the Occupation Force of Manchester, with 2 cameras and sat down during their meeting. Yes.
the Manchester Police Department.
Yeah,
It was a room
yeah.
filled with cops and
They all had guns on.
higher
them.
ups.
Yeah, the commissioner and
The
everything
police
like that, with
commissioner.
all their shiny badges all over their chests, left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and recorded. It was a really boring meeting. I was hoping I'd get kicked out so I'd have to sit through all of it, but that would have been
man.
better. But yeah, they were nervous.
It was. I was nervous.
I was
Shoot.
nervous too. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. It was like
Den
a
of evil.
I mean, I've never gone to something like that. Like, I would love to out Dave Ridley, coming for you.
Oh,
Oh snap!
pretty
but-
soon it's gonna be, this episode of the Relo Show is sponsored by FreeStateProject.org.
But no, that was intense.
Yeah, the cops were like jiggling their legs, like they're doing the nervous thing for one, and for the other thing was, they not only did they not ask us to turn off the cameras during the meeting, they didn't even mention them once. Like I didn't get.
Do they normally?
No, someone made a joke early on.
Did they make a
before
joke
the
about
meeting
your-
started?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that we have cameras, but it wasn't.
But it was just a
kind
joke?
it was a joke, and it was kind of under their breath with another person. It wasn't like anything.
Oh,
huge.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I love the part where they talked about their big the big cash that they got, the
Yeah.
43 pounds of pot and a handgun that they stole from another person in Manchester.
Yeah.
That guy sounds like he was just having a good time. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Who
as
doesn't-
James Cleveland's campaign platform was, shouldn't be against the law to have a good time.
Shouldn't be a crime to have a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was. I wish he won. I wish he won.
420
man.
Blaze It YOLO swag.
So you were in Arizona. What
Oh, yeah.
what happened What happened in the Southwest?
I sweated my balls off. Well, other than that, what happened was I went back to visit family, but while I was there, I went to the ASU Students for Liberty. They had a meeting there, conveniently, on the militarization of the police. And in a couple of videos, etc., they mentioned Keene and the Keene Bearcat and the Pumpkin Festival and the snipers and all that stuff. And so at the end of that, I give a presentation about because it's like, and here with us, we have a real like live cop blocker from the front lines. I'm like, ah. So I just told him about everything, handed out Free State Project literature to the whole like 25, 30 per person room. And then after that, there was a Liberty on Tap meetup, which is like, 30, 40 people in a pub. And so I got a microphone. I got like a mic time there. And I said, hey, I'm from Arizona, but I moved out to New Hampshire last year for the Free State Project. As soon as I said that, the room just erupted in applause. Yeah, woo! Apparently, our reputation precedes us here.
Wow.
And so I got footage. I got to put up the video of that stuff. But anyway, and then I also got 3 Free State Project signers, and just went out. And there's one guy in particular, who wishes to remain anonymous until he moves. He was looking. Whatever.
Don't come here to hide, man.
Yeah, but
we'll
wait until he just doesn't want to promise stuff. Anyway.
You never know what's going to happen, yeah. I mean, it is an intent to move, so...
Yeah, it's like saying you're going to a Facebook event.
Some people intend to do something, and then they no longer
and some
intend.
people...
20,000 person Facebook event.
Yeah, we'll get...
Some people take Facebook events and their reservations seriously.
I do.
Some
yes.
people...
That's why I try to say maybe. I'll say maybe. Like, I say maybe just so it shows up in my calendar.
Yes. Some people say yes.
So later on in the week, so if like, oh yeah, that's going on. If I say no, then it won't show up in like events.
Yeah. So some people say they're going and go, and other people are yes.
Oh, if I realize like 5 minutes before an event that I'm not going, I will go on that event page and click no.
You
and,
act like that's
re-click
hardcore. Decent
no.
folk do that.
Wow.
I don't think everybody does that. I think if they're a maybe,
I'm
they'll-
Not
impressed.
everyone's decent folk.
I'm impressed by the strength of your,
See, Mathias is
commitment
just
to be a
admitting
gentleman.
he's not a decent folk.
I don't want someone sitting someplace waiting for me.
I don't take it
yeah.
seriously. It's just a silly little. I don't think anybody looks at it. First of all,
I do.
Yeah, people do.
I know- I
as the
notice when
founder of
people-
Manchester
You are a
Liberty on the
horrible
Rocks-
Facebook human being.
Oh man.
I don't think anybody looks at these
I do.
RSVPs.
I
do.
sit at
I
my
do.
Liberty on the Rocks meetups and I look and I say Mathias is a maybe, maybe he'll be here, and then I just wait and I wait.
Well, when
You usually show up then. So.
when anyone says yes, I expect them to show, and when they don't, I die inside, just a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, anyways, you guys signers in Arizona.
Yeah, rock the world there.
That's awesome. That's
And
awesome.
my other little thing this week, I was taking around foreign dignitary Vera Kichanova from Russia, the second person in Russian history to be elected from the Libertarian Party there. Now, we think we're hardcore up in here. Nah. They, this is Russia. Basically Soviet Russia, for all practical purposes. And they have to go through, routine things. If she kept on talking about, we're afraid to do this, afraid that if we do that. And every time they want to do something like hold a campaign rally or fundraiser or openly promote stuff, they're afraid of being shut down and arrested and stuff.
Well, there's that video that came out right the week after she left Porkfest,
Yeah.
where she was roughed up by a couple thugs.
This random
where
dude comes
her
up.
petitions were ripped up.
In Russia?
In Russia.
And
yeah,
you
that was
see-
literally the week after she left Porkfest.
She's just collecting signatures. This
Yeah.
guy comes out of nowhere. And, yeah.
Yeah, and the cops show up and
And did
don't-
nothing.
Just whatever, you libertarian, fuck you, and that's about it. And so anyway, so I took her all around, took her to Keene, took her to Free Talk Live Studios. Again, it's this is because the libertarians in Russia, they know what's going on here, and they're just they're like, whoa, you're going to you're walking through history there. And then we took her out to see everything, and then we took her to see Rich Paul in jail, and then
Yeah, I
she
saw
was
that.
like,
That's cool.
and she was like, you very many people in Russia inspired by your story. And so they've seen Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. They've seen all this stuff. They know what's happening here.
I watched her speech, her talk at Porkfest, and it was amazing to see all the symbolism that we use in the Liberty Movement here and Free State Project and the Liberty Movement in general in the United States. They had a Gadsden flag in Russian. That was hardcore. Really, that's an American thing, and they were using that in Liberty circles and promotional stuff, and they had a tea party. Well, I'm not getting for the tea party, but back in the day, it actually meant something. But they were rocking the Russian Gadsden flag. Yeah,
It's in the culture here still. It's the Pilgrims were OG secessionists, right? So
yeah.
you got to think it's baked into
yeah.
American culture.
And then the Mormons as well, going out to Utah and having to
right.
break free of where they came from.
Starting the Mormon State
I don't
Project.
know where
yeah.
they came from. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the whole Keenevention visit really solidified in my mind our mission here is not to achieve liberty in our lifetime here. It's to achieve liberty in our lifetime first here, and then show the world what it can be
Oh
like.
yeah. This
And I'm going to Russia one of these days and just spreading more of the word about what's going on here because, yeah, you guys deserve to know about everything awesome that's happening here because we can't keep all liberty for ourselves. You got to get it too.
Well, this place does definitely inspire other movements around the world and other people around the country and whatnot. So it's exciting to see people coming from the other side of the ocean, you know, the other side of the Atlantic, way past that, and somewhere I don't even know where in Russia she's from.
Moscow.
Really? Oh. But like, you know, that's inspiring people. There's so many other foreigners that are that are living here because of the Free State Project, and it's amazing how like liberty transcends borders and languages and stuff like that because people understand that they want to be free and be around like-minded people. I don't know, it's inspiring.
It is.
Yeah. Anywho, for me, the week after you were in Arizona, I was in California.
I'm sorry.
I know. God, I couldn't even vape indoors anywhere there.
Oh,
God,
man.
it's signs saying
Against
you
the
can't
law?
vape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever bad you want to say about California, it did produce.
Shire Dude. Speaking of, I had the OG Shire Dude experience. That's what I'm going to call it. All right. I literally walked through Andrew's footsteps. Literally, I went to Fullerton. I went and bought I bought a peace tea with Bitcoin because that's what you did. Apparently, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we bought the same flavor at the same store.
Which is incredible. And like I apparently hit some of the same bars you hit and whatnot.
Yeah.
Stay with Patrick. By the way, thank you very much for the hospitality. That was magnificent. I hope you come back to visit the Shire someday soon, Patrick. And then I hit later that. Well, before I hit the before I went to the Liberty in the Rocks meetup that Rob and Patrick and whatnot set up for me to talk about the Free State Project, we used CoinMap to find a vape shop that accepted Bitcoin because I wanted to buy a vape bomb out there with Bitcoin. And we found this place, and there's these two brothers in there, and they're, one's 18, one's in their early 20s. These two entrepreneurs, and they're like, "Hey, what brings you guys in?" And we're like, "We came here because you guys accept Bitcoin." And they had like a Bitcoin logo on their window and stuff like that. We ended up talking. His name is also Andrew. We literally ended up talking to him for like 3 hours about liberty and Bitcoin and all that jazz. And by the time we left, he signed the intent to move, and then he came out to the Liberty on the Rocks meetup to join us. Like it was that was so hard because it was random. It's a random person I met. You know, it's not like I went there to see.
Not random. It was destiny.
Yeah, it was destiny. Yeah, hopefully we inspired him to like actually research more and whatnot. But it was
so you had the OG Shire Dude experience. Just so
Yeah.
you know, when we make a porcupine-themed theme park, that's going to be the best ride there, is the OG Shire Dude experience.
It starts with getting high.
and it ends still living at Porkfest on shrooms.
Half of the ride.
Not true.
Half of the ride is being taken through psychedelic David Bowie like visually like graphics, being made to watch several episodes of Shire Dude.
Oh man!
Oh, gosh.
And then you eat a tomato for the first time in 10 years.
Rump gives you a hug at the end of it.
Aw.
Rump gives you a rump at the end of it.
Hey, so how was the Liberty on the Rocks?
The Liberty on the Rocks was awesome. Talked to like a half dozen people or whatnot for about an hour and a half talking about what life is like here. Really didn't talk about much about politics and stuff like that. They can read, news, blog posts and stuff like that. I really wanted to talk about how like life is like here. Like I was saying, like this meetup, like everyone here thinks like that. No, take this amount of people and multiply that by 10 to 100. And that's what life is like living here every day.
Right.
And.
Wow. Tell me more.
And just talking about like my experiences, where I've gone, what I've done, and what the prospect is of the future, and just, like how I've met all these new movers that have moved since I've moved, and yeah, it was inspiring. I hope to see. I know Rob wants to move back because he was there. Hopefully he moves back soon. But yeah, it was inspiring, man. I made connections and whatnot, so it was well worth the trip just to go to that. Yeah. So, anyways, while I was gone, there were elections.
Oh yeah, man.
Primaries.
Yeah,
All
how
sorts
now-
of crazy pack money being thrown at people. It was crazy, man.
Lots of Koch brothers around.
Yeah, I missed all of that. I was watching like the Facebook
Lucky
feed
you.
while I was gone. Yeah, I know you hated it. You were going out on a rampage against the
Yes,
politicos.
just so you
Against
know,
the system.
just so you know, of all the political posts, of all the posts about the primary I saw on Facebook, in terms of volume, the clear winner was Mattheus von Guttenberg. He posted about how he hates seeing posts about it more than people posted about it. So either way, it's like, holy fuck, Batman.
I went meta on all of them.
Yeah,
Well,
so
Just like driving to work, driving home from work, I'd see
the plague, the pestilence.
the
upon
pestilence
land.
of signs upon the land, of brightly colored, multi-hued signs that just distracted from the natural beauty of the Granite State. And it's just vote for Walt or vote Scott or vote this or that or just 8 different people.
Or vote Sim Kellogg, an asshole.
Yeah,
is just
yeah,
a primary.
Why are you against voting for Shem?
I'm against voting in general.
Even for Shem?
Well, since Shem is a specific case of the general, I'd have to say yes.
Oh,
Well,
man.
From my
Sorry, Shem.
I'll break my I break my my principles and vote for him. But
Yes.
unfortunately, I was out of state and I don't live in this district. So
I support people running into the system to troll it. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be inside of the system to make fun of it and to troll it and to be satirical and to
or
have
just
a
to
good
throw a
laugh.
monkey wrench in there, man, just to stop stuff from
to
happening.
make the system smaller.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think those latter two really are that possible. If you want to go in the state to have fun and to troll and to be, artistic and creative, like I think that's what Andre's doing or
God,
trying to do.
He's a
He's a really passionate, creative, outburst, extroverted person. So politics is really just like a great place for him to be. He's, I think it's
I can see fascinating speeches on the floor from him.
yeah, right, about anything,
Yeah.
any mundane topic.
Imagine him doing some sort of filibuster. I don't know if that even can happen in New Hampshire State House or Senate. I have no idea what the rules are, but that would be amazing to see him just going like some, literally reading off a play or something like that.
Yeah, right. That would be
My
funny. That's stuff that I
perfect
can
Sunday.
support.
Performing every part in a
Yeah.
play, yeah.
So if it's if running for
But
office,
you can't perform every part in the play unless you go here. Then the next person you have to move over
Yeah,
here.
right.
And then
so if running for office is a performance art, when is Shire Dude going to run for office?
I've actually been thinking about, no, hear me out. I've been thinking about legally changing my name to Shire Dude and then putting Shire Dude on the signs, because that's actually advertisement for ShireDude.com, right?
Correct.
you're such a whore.
I'm just, I'm doing everything under Shire
Hey, if you
Dude,
could be a
like-
human in New Hampshire, why can't you be a Shire Dude?
Exactly. And lots of people actually already call me Shire Dude around here. It's actually very strange if someone calls me Andrew. So
I haven't. I don't know.
Shia
it's
the
hard.
chicken.
Can I just call you Shire?
I've been called Shire
That was
too
the
online.
joke on the when we went to Keene. We were all
Yeah.
talking about Shire sounds like Shia, like Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
But
Shire
instead
Dude.
he's Shire the chicken. That's not weird.
Are you just called dude or the dude sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes I just refer to myself as the dude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
There's other
That's
dudes.
that's very.
Yeah, Big Lebowski moments.
It's very
Yeah.
Lebowski, yeah.
Do you sit back at home in your PJs and drink a White Russian, listening with a,
I look at the carpet that really ties the room together.
of course.
Yeah.
Hey, Rug brought the whole room
Until
together, man.
until an Asian man pisses on it, then it's just like it sets everything into motion.
Homie, a carpet, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, she kidnapped herself.
I can get you a toe. I can get you a toe by 3 p.m. with nail polish.
Yeah, now about the whole electoral process thing. One thing that's exciting is here in New Hampshire, the state house, just seeing the kinds of people who can get elected. And it's the amount of anarchists in the state house, and about to be in the state house,
Yeah.
is just mind-boggling. This is just unique on planet fucking Earth.
That doesn't happen anywhere on the planet.
How many free staters got through their primaries? I heard it was somewhere near 205.
I thought it was 315.
Oh my gosh.
No, wasn't it in the several thousands?
I think that's something else. I think that's
It was. I thought it was over 9,000. That's what Vegeta told me.
That's flavors of potato chips. That's what you're talking about.
Wasn't that like 51?
That's flavors of Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
No, there's only one flavor of Dunkin' Donuts
That
coffee, and that's
matters.
pumpkin.
That's the only one that matters.
I mean, let's be real here. It's pumpkin or it's nothing.
There's only one flavor of shipyard.
Oh, FreeCoast Festival. Let's talk about that.
yeah. Let me talk about that.
well, let me talk about. Well, I was there for the pub crawl, so let me open with that. 'Cause that's all I went to.
Part of the pub crawl.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's because I got pulled over by damn state troopers.
It's because you're speeding.
I was going with the flow
you
of
know-
traffic.
Did you know how fast
no.
you were going back there, sir?
First of all, what's crazy is he actually came to the passenger side window. He didn't come to the driver's side
You didn't want
window.
to get
Were you on the
drive-by.
highway?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I was really pulled over far, so it was awkward and weird. I
It
wasn't
was a little
expecting it.
strange.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta pull over way into the weeds, so he has to like go all out.
And what's crazy is I got pulled over the day before in Petersboro when I was driving out to Keene, which by the way was on Free Talk Live, which was like incredible, talking 3 hours about the session. But at any rate, no, like I got pulled over by this cop, and yeah, he was an asshole, like the biggest
Well, dude, he
asshole I've
was a
had.
cop,
Yeah,
dude.
but no, city police are so much nicer than state troopers. Like this trooper just like had it out for me, and he was like seeing how he was following me for a while, and he was seeing how I was passing people. I'm like, why are you spying and following me? Like if I wasn't speeding before, why would you start following me for longer and whatnot?
Their job is to make a crime where there isn't one.
Yeah, and then he kept asking me about, do you still live at this address? I'm like, well, that is, I had to.
None of your damn business, dude.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I was like, I had to get that verified by the state, showing documents that shows that I do live at that location, by not answering the question.
Right. Yeah.
And he was like freaking out about it. And of course, I didn't lower the window all the way when he came back.
Dude, that pisses him off. I did
Oh
that
my
too. when
god,
took
they
my
hate
place.
that. And it's like, but at the same time, I knew he had a ticket in his hand, so what am I going to do? Lower it down for? I wanted to piss him off a little bit more, because I knew I was going to take it anyway, so I might as well leave with him being upset,
Thanks.
But yeah, so that all happened. Anyways, pub crawl at
And just so you know, soon-to-be Representative Kellogg is a man of the people and a true servant, and he will bring you a beer in the middle of your show. Thank you, sir.
yeah, you need to bartend our shows more often.
Yeah.
Anyways, the pub crawl at the FreeCoast Festival was Portsmouth is beautiful, and we went to all these different pub crawls. It was cool to see so many. There's a lot of people there that weren't even movers yet, like prospective movers, which was pretty cool that I met. And it was also kind of like Instagram central, like all the who's who of the Instagram scene and the Free State Project was there. Yeah, us two,
Anna Nash and
Anna
Vanessa
Nash
Vine.
and Vanessa Vine
And Vera.
Vera
has
Yuri
good
is
Instagram.
finally on Instagram.
Yeah, you know
Thank
why?
God, Yuri.
You know why?
You got a smartphone.
No, Vera convinced him.
Thank God.
She was
Thank you,
bitching
Vera.
on him forever.
No,
She's
I
like,
was bitching on him since
No,
the day I met him.
but she was the one that changed his mind. Come on, you're not a pretty girl.
Yeah, I'm not Russian, so. But yeah, maybe but pretty girl's probably more accurate.
Speaking of Russian, Yuri knows way more English than he lets on.
Does he?
Yes,
'Cause sometimes he knows, like,
everything. He just doesn't say everything.
Yeah, I think he understands everything in English, but I just don't think he can speak it as well.
I just think he might
Yeah,
not
it's
choose to speak everything.
There's a big gap between understanding a language and being able to articulate what you're thinking in it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of cool. Like Vera was like, I was like, it'd be an honor to take a photo with you and Yuri because you guys are always big on photos, and I've been following you on Instagram before I met you. And he's like, whenever I want to know about what's going on in the Free State, I always do a search for Free State Project, and I always see all your photos. Like, do I look good for this and whatnot? Though her smile is always kind of like she has a unique smile. That's the best way to.
We're all
put it.
unique people.
That's
here.
true. That is
We're
very,
unique
very true.
sunflowers.
But it was a fun pub crawl. It was really fun.
Yeah, so the way it worked out is it was a 4-pub crawl, and at the first location, they did a libertarian trivia night run by Mike Vine, which included questions like, in what state was the Libertarian Party formed? Who was the founder of the Austrian School of Economics? Right, that was a cool one. And then, who was the only organizer of PorkFest to ever have been banned from PorkFest? And then, what was it? Who was the Free State Project's first president? And
No,
I forget. No, that was Jason Sorens, actually.
Oh, by the way, his op-ed in the Washington Post
Okay.
was. I know.
Yeah,
I'm
before-
going off the side. Continue. FreeCoast.
Okay,
We're on FreeCoast.
so-
Go.
And the winners of the trivia questions would get little wooden tokens, which could be redeemed at any of the pubs on the crawl for free drinks and stuff. Like, they got this thing, like, dialed. And then the next day, they had a whole long event with a bunch of speakers at the Stone Church. Now, the Stone Church is a cool-ass location in Newmarket. It's an old church that's turned into a music venue / pub inside. It's, like, really classy and hip. And they had a cool lineup of speakers, including Kirk O'Neill for talking about Area 23 and spaces. like the Praxium and the Free Coast. And the keynote was they flew him out from Guatemala City. He was the guy from the Startup Cities.
What exactly is Startup Cities?
Why don't you Google it?
I don't feel like it.
So basically, we're talking about making, and I borrow Carla G's terminology, a Yankee Hong Kong here, of making the Free State an economic powerhouse by being an economically free region. And there was just a lot of talk about, like, I know there's a lot of, in the activist world, the foaming at the mouth, axe carrying, battle troops of the liberty movement. There's a lot of talk about state is value, state of freedom. There's a lot of just thrown out about just tearing down the system or how great freedom and anarchy, everything would be better under it. But this is where they actually got talking about what to do and how it's going to be better and what the future is going to be looking like. It's like the light at the other end of the tunnel. We're focused on we're focused on winning the war. They're focused on building the peace afterwards. And that's just, you need to do both. You can't just let's just start building it and hope they don't tear it down while we're making it. No, we have to win. But it's important. It really energizes me about my struggle for liberty when I see what we can have once we get it.
Well, one thing I love about the Free State Project in general is this shotgun effect that people have, where everyone kind of does their own thing. There's no concentrated thing, action on one thing. You have everything from the agorists and the entrepreneurs to the street activists to the civil disobedience crowd. You have kind of everything in between, and the politicos even. And but everyone associates with each other. Everyone knows everybody. We're all in this together. It's just everyone has their own flavor of what they're trying to do in order to get freedom.
Yeah, and we're all on the same side, and I'd really like to keep that in everyone's forefront of the mind. And I was, talking with Ian Freeman and Derek J. about, we got on the subject of infighting and all the glorious childish struggles we have and then Vera was laughing. She's like, he's just the same in the Libertarian Party in Russia. Apparently, over there, too, they're all, oh, you did this before me, you outshone me, and now, oh, you're going to make us look bad, and just all this bullshit. It's the human condition. It happens everywhere. It's just...
Yeah, I get over the infighting relatively quickly here. It is what it is. People, whenever you get a bunch of people that all think the same way, they're going to have some drama.
Mm-hmm.
That's in general. You get a bunch of people together, period, there's going to be drama. But at least here, they're here for a reason, right?
Mm. Yeah, I would like to keep, sight on that thing. And, I don't believe in having enemies around here because at some point we're going to need to rely on each other and there's going to be no one else. It's what happens when the state comes gunning for you? Who can you rely on? Yeah. Because even your best friends in the normal world, the muggles, right?
The muggles.
In the normal world, they still believe in the legitimacy of the state. So if you're being sought after by the powers that be, they might be like, well, I'm sorry, I want to help you, but it's the right thing to do to turn you into the authorities, and then you might not be able to be. These might be your brothers and sisters here you got to count on, and that's why we have to learn to get along because these might be the very people who save us.
So back to the Free Coast. When Kirk talked about Area 23, when is that opening?
No word on that yet. There's a reason they're delaying it. They're working through official channels this time. Which basically means there's completely, in my opinion, again, this is their own space. They're doing whatever they want. This is all speculation. However, as far as speculation goes, they seem to be taking it in the opposite direction they took the first one. The first one was very clandestine, very agorist. This one seems to be chasing the agorist out of it, i.e. going completely above ground and state appropriate, and which has its very good strengths and also means that other elements will have to seek elsewhere for their illicit activity.
That seems...
It's not necessarily a positive development.
I'd
rather see more.
I can't say I'm excited about that.
I would say
I'd rather see more bastions of the black market than of the white market, I guess.
Yeah, I'd just say it's an element. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's a thing. It's there. It has good and it's bad. And all it means is it satisfies a need, and that means there's another need that needs to be satisfied that someone like you should start doing. I would love to see you start up the former, the new black market.
Well,
in Manchester.
I'm not in a position to do that. I was just making the comment that if there was going to be a bastion for the black market or one for the white market, I'd prefer to see one not be state sanctioned or approved than the other one. But
I'm also
can't
upset
have
that
both.
they're not in Manchester.
Yeah.
I can't do any. I can't take any action about it. I don't have the funds or anything for that.
Well,
I'm making a comment.
I'm working on
Shire
some
Dude's
stuff.
getting all the Bitcoin donations. You should be able to run. You should have your own Area 23. When are you gonna set that up?
But what he's really not telling you is all where his future's really stored up is Houdini Donkey Coin.
That's where the future of cryptocurrency is going, guys. Come on now.
That's where the kinky future is.
Speaking of, what's going on with Bitcoin, Matthias? I'm scared. It was under 400.
Yeah, so it's been falling for a while. I mean, all of 2014's been a general decline, I guess. But yeah, just with the latest activity, I'm not sure. Are you asking me to explain it?
I don't know. You are the foremost expert here on Bitcoin. So I'm trying. I want you to relay my fears. You know, I'm embracing Bitcoin because I'm not using their money.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
it's going down.
Well, I don't want to sell you any. I don't want to give you any promises of stability or that you can use it as your
I don't care what you want to do.
Currency. Well, I'm not going to then. You know, Bitcoin is for the long term. It's for the long hold.
Or the very short term. You know, like you get some Bitcoin, you spend it. It's great. You know.
Like, I wouldn't be upset with Bitcoin stabilizing at one price and staying there for a long period of time.
If you look at the long period graph, it's pretty much up and down around the 500 range for a while.
It's been like that for like 6 months or so, yeah. So, but when it gets into the 300, that's when it's like, oh, that's too low.
Well, you can either see it as a diminishment of your purchasing power, or you can see it as a buying opportunity. You know, but if
it's always a buying opportunity for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
let's be real.
I agree. Well, but you can, you know, if it's 398. Instead of 550, maybe you can buy a little bit more than you normally would. But
buy low, sell high.
So there's been a lot of merchant acceptance going on in the spring and the summer of 2014, and I think that causes a lot of people to suddenly want to spend Bitcoin that they've stored, and suddenly now Wikipedia takes Bitcoin donations. Here's $1,000. Here's $2,000 in Bitcoin. Suddenly Overstock takes it. Suddenly Dell takes it. Here's $5,000 in orders for this and that.
Amazon needs to get on it.
Well, I think what's happening is that all the merchant acceptance is kind of the embarrassment of riches almost, because a lot of people are now spending their Bitcoin at these merchants, and the merchants are not holding on to any Bitcoin. They don't have any particular interest in holding it, so they dump it right back on the exchanges through Coinbase or BitPay or whatever. And that huge volume is now depressing prices on the exchanges.
I'm excited about Square announcing that they're going to integrate Bitcoin.
Over.
That's
over now.
Look, I'm happy just because Cafe Lorraine uses a Square POS.
Right.
All right.
Oh, dude.
So just so I could buy coffee with Bitcoin at Cafe Lorraine, like I'm sure. I mean, I know like probably a couple of dozen free staters have already tried to get them to accept Bitcoin, and they're tired of hearing about it. But now, like
the Harvey brothers go there all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
I've talked to them about Bitcoin. I know other people have, but like the fact that they use that, I was talking to Neil, and we're both looking at him like, they're going to be accepting Bitcoin soon. Like it was like this,
whether they like it or
whether
not.
they like it or not, they're gonna take my goddamn Bitcoin, and I want to get my pumpkin coffee.
Shut up and take my Bitcoin.
And you know, you'll see, like for example, one of these days, Yuri's gonna walk in there, ask for a latte, and when he gets latte, he paid with Bitcoin, a solitary tear will go down his stoic face. You know, because seriously, this is just the shit. Like I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, Square taking Bitcoin is a huge thing. I don't know when they're going to roll that out, though. Probably not till the end of the year or something.
Well, there has been so much good news that it's been kind of a running joke in the Bitcoin community that good news sends the price of Bitcoin down. So Coinbase just expanded their operations from the U.S., and now they include 13 other countries in Europe. There's been larger and larger, more prestigious companies that are taking an interest in it. So the PayPal Bitcoin integration that was kind of rolled out a little bit earlier, or that they're talking about, or that's in the works, you know, immediately you can see on Bitstamp in that 5 minutes, there are enough buy orders to move the price about $40 north.
Mm-hmm.
So we had an immediate 10% price boost just from essentially, like, it looks like two huge buy orders. And now it's kind of, as I saw it last little bit, falling a little bit further back, tending towards 400 again. But I don't know. There's no there's no solution to this, or there's no way for me to phrase it to make you feel better. I think that in 2 years, we'll be looking at this, or in 2 and 5 or 10 years, some of us at that point may have kids, and I'll be like, well, you were alive when Bitcoin was under $400. Yeah. That's outrageous.
Well, or
like, yeah,
or Daddy, what's $1?
I remember people bitching that their Bitcoin stash was losing value because it was going so low. And I thought, wow, it would never get that. It never got that low again.
Well, what I'd like to say is that the price of Bitcoin might have fallen, but the value's gone way up, because now you can just use it everywhere as more people know about it. It's not just this weird crypto-y thing you just kind of hold on to and share with a couple other nerds at this one meetup. It's like now it's mainstream. It's much more valuable to have it. Just because a Bitcoin has less of a price doesn't mean it's not more valuable to have.
If you think that there's more value to owning Bitcoins now than there was a little bit earlier, and you think that the price doesn't capture that, if you think it's underpriced, then it just makes sense to keep buying then.
Exactly.
I keep
anytime I can, yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I always want to try and buy as much Bitcoin as I have right now, because it is buying time. I know it's going to go up, but it's just seeing it go down right now. It's just like I'm riding. I know it's going to go up.
I'm trying to make my unit of account Bitcoin for various things, so I keep track of all of the total, how many millibits and satoshis that I have. And I kind of look at that over a period of time to see if I'm gaining or losing Bitcoin. I don't really look at whether I'm gaining or losing fiat value with it or not. That's, checking cost basis and these things. It's more of an active investment strategy, and I'm not really that interested in it. I'm just interested in kind of averaging my way into Bitcoin, just doing $50 a week or $20 a week or whatever, and buying beers with it, or buying meals with it, or buying games or entertainment with it, whatever I can online. But I try to make it my unit of account be the actual Bitcoins themselves, so I know, I've got half, or I've got 1, or I've got 2.5. It doesn't really matter to me right now or in the next 2 weeks what the price of Bitcoin comes to. I just want to make the actual number of Bitcoins grow higher. Mm-hmm. So if I have 3, or if I have 4, or if I have 5, or I have 10, that'll be, even if they're $300 at this point, which would be excellent. I wouldn't argue that. I would be fine with that. That just means that I'm that much more set for the future.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
What I like to do is, they say buy low, sell high. I would say buy low, spend high, right? Like, just have like a hybrid FRN.
That's the same principle.
Yeah, FRN Bitcoin holdings, and then it just when the price of Bitcoin is low, you just buy a lot of Bitcoin, and when it's higher, instead of spending stuff in FRNs, you just use Bitcoin to do the same kind of things, whatever you need to do, right? Whatever things that you can use Bitcoin, and you hold off on those things until Bitcoin goes back up, and then you just use that. So you keep the liquidity going, but you also don't lose out on money either.
That's difficult to do because you have to kind of accurately predict when you think Bitcoin is overpriced. And not only when you think it's overpriced, but when you think it's going to fall again, so you could recoup. Like if Bitcoin was $1,000, and I suddenly have a lot more purchasing power with Bitcoin than I used to, because it's just 400 or something, that I might use that to take as an opportunity to spend Bitcoin, because I have so much more purchasing power, and now it's worth much more. I know that it'll drop to 600 again in a couple months, or I know it'll go down to 500 again, and I can just buy them back up, half price than they are right now. That requires you to kind of know in advance, or be able to predict, or be able to have some assurance that the price will continue to drop. But the history of Bitcoin has been a history of volatility in the upward direction.
Yeah, every time it flies up and then it comes down, and then it flies up and comes down. But each time it is exponentially bigger.
Yeah.
I remember when it went up to 30 and whatnot, and then went back down a little bit. Then it went all the way up to
about 250 or something.
Yeah, and then dropped all the way down to $60.
Yeah.
And then
it crashed at twice the previous floor. So it crashed and lost 80% of its value, and then where that ended up being was 2 times the high that it had gotten 5 days earlier, or something like that.
It's the best thing to just assuage your fears is just look at the go to bitcoinity.org, right? Look at the 2-year Bitstamp price.
Yeah.
And it just explains everything. It was like, and it goes blip, and then the new blip is higher, and it goes blip, big blip, and
it's kind of leveling out a little bit.
You start to see the patterns and just not worry so much.
Yeah.
And if you actually will look at it on a logarithmic scale, if instead of a linear scale, there's a way to check. I know on Bitcoin Wisdom you can do this, where you'll actually check for it to be shown in a log scale instead of linear. So the axis, the y-axis on the graph doesn't enumerate from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It enumerates from 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, right? So it jumps by a factor of 10 every time. And log scales are useful because they eliminate, or because they show the variance, they show the volatility in the unit over time. And it's just huge jumps, it's huge leaps. Even when it crashes back down again, it's still twice as big as it was prior to the boom. And so you can also get some cool info from the log scale, and as well as the linear scale.
Well, I'm still keeping hope, so I'm still in it for the long haul. Anyways, we're coming up on time, but Joel, you have a announcement here.
Well, this is a broad and diverse movement, and there's a lot of people going around doing all kinds of cool things. There's some people in politics, some people in agorism, some people in media, some people in screaming in the face of police officers, some people in just whatever field.
Some people are doing all that.
Yeah, some people doing all of that in the space of a single day. And just, there's all kinds of stuff. And so we started, Rob and Mathias actually started the Rebel Love Show way back in Chicago. Was it October?
It was end of October, yeah.
End of October of last year, and he had a co-host and didn't work out. And so I co-hosted the first 2 episodes before I had to put on hiatus for a couple months for his move out. And then in March, we picked it back up. And it's been, we really had a whole lot of interesting guests and interesting things here. And it's been a lot of fun, but I'm going to be leaving the show pretty soon. It's been a great time and everything. However, I think he has things handled here. And we all have our respective strengths and weaknesses, and he doesn't need me to run this thing the way it should be run.
We all have our paths to run, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
And I have some crazy dreams and crazy things to be doing for the rest of the year, the rest of the following years. And I'll be on from time to time, coming back to talk about all the cool stuff I'm making happen elsewhere. And this is not ever going to be a movement, a cause that we win by sitting around and doing just a couple little things and just limiting ourselves in one little field. We have to attack it crazily on all fronts. And so I'm, as much as I managed to pull this thing off, there's stuff that I'm better at than this. And no one needs me here, but I'm needed other places, so that's where I'm going to do. So,
you gotta go where your heart takes you.
Well, yeah. So I'll still be around, but I'm phasing out my time as the second co-host of the Rebel Love Show. So I look forward to lots of cool things happening in the future on the show.
Well, you better be doing some cool shit to come back on and talk about.
Oh, believe me, you're gonna have to be like, dude, I had you like 2 times this week. Get the fuck out. Come on. We gotta let other people have a chance, But I did this. Just shut up, dude.
All right. Well, again, it's been an absolute pleasure that we were doing this for so long. So you will be missed. Anywho, that's it for our show. You can always find us on rebelloveshow.com, Facebook, Twitter. Well, we actually don't have a Twitter, but Stitcher, iTunes, JRev, and Voluntary Virtues. You can find all my content at vrebel.com, and then
I'm thedesertlinks.com.
Yeah, and check out shiredude.com. I got a lot of fun new stuff on there.
When's the new episode?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
You're putting me on the spot. Episodes 8, 9, and 10 are all coming out at once, so I need to finish all of those before
you're just pulling a Netflix, just throwing it all up at once.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to have like a big launch party. That's going to be a lot of fun.
And Mathias, you're writing. Where can people find you at?
I'm on Facebook. I scour the internet on various dark corners of the internet, just under Mattheus von Guttenberg. I don't have a cool handle. I don't have a gamer tag. I don't have.
You have your name. You don't need a cool handle.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you just Google Mattheus von Guttenberg, you'll find lots of my work.
All right. Anyways, guys, we are out. So see you next time. Peace.